Hello, Nats fans, and welcome to another edition of the DoDCast Postgame Show. I'm Drew Douglas, and I'll be your host for today. And boy, what a disappointing game that was. It got off to a great start with a Bryce Harper home run in the first. It actually hit the scoreboard in right field, but then Edwin Jackson, today's starter, went out and gave up four in the bottom half of the first, and the Nats just could never fight back from that and ended up losing the game 7-4. Although they did show a little bit of fight at the end. So we'll get into the lines a little bit here. Brian Goodwin leading off for the Nats. We've seen him in the leading off in the two-hole. Recently, we've seen him towards the bottom of the order some, batting 7th or 8th. Today, Dusty elected to bat him leadoff. He went 0 for 3, but he did walk twice, so he did contribute on the offensive side of the game today. Wilmer Defoe in the two-hole. He's another guy since the Nationals acquired Howie Kendrick. We've seen him leading off in the two-hole like today, batting 7th, 8th, just all over. He's really versatile in the field and versatile in the lineup as well, so he's provided a lot of he's been great for this team. He went 1 for 4 with a walk and a couple strikeouts, including one big strikeout there in the 9th inning. Bryce Harper, as I said, he had the home run in the first inning. He went 2 for 5 with 2 runs and an RBI with 2 strikeouts. Ryan Zimmerman went 1 for 3 with a run scored. Daniel Murphy went 1 for 4 with a run scored as he continued to haunt the Cubs, especially at Wrigley Field. And Matt Wieters, who really hasn't hit much since April other than the walk-off against Baltimore. He had a great game offensively today. He went 2 for 2, and he's really seen the Cubs starting pitcher from today, John Lackey. He's seen him a lot from when Wieters was with Baltimore and Lackey was with Boston. Earlier this year when Lackey came to D.C. and pitched against the Nats at home, Wieters took him deep. Today he hit a big double off of him, and then later in the game hit a single. So he had a good game offensively before getting ejected, which I'll get into a little bit later. And that really covers it from the Nats offensively. I'll get into the chat a little bit. Judah Joker said, fun game tonight. We didn't win, but we fought hard. Tough luck loss for you, Drew. Yeah, it was a fun game. Bryce Harper had a good game, I thought, other than that strikeout there at the end of the game. But, yeah, it was fun. Edwin Jackson settled in nicely after the first inning. So it was, although they did lose in the end, it was a fun game altogether. We'll get into the Nationals pitching a little bit. Edwin Jackson got his start today. It was his 4th for the Nationals this year, and he's been kind of erratic for the Nats. He had that great start against the Angels in his first start back with the Nats since returning for the first time since 2012. And then he struggled against Milwaukee. He pitched well against Colorado the last time out, and today, as a whole, he had a good outing. It was just a really rough first inning against the Cubs, where he allowed 4 runs. So his final line, he went 5 innings, allowed 6 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, and struck out 8. So we haven't really seen him have great strikeout stuff. He struggled with command a little bit, but he's really a much different pitcher than what I remember from him in 2012. In 2012, he kind of sat 93 and 94 with his fastball. This year, he came back, he's throwing 97, which is odd because you don't really see too many pitchers gain velocity as they age. So that's been cool to see. He's pitched pretty well. His command has been much better than what I remember from 2012. And maybe we see him take that 5th spot and kind of run with it with Joe Ross out for the year, and then just other various injuries to the rotation with Scherzer, who it appears is not a big deal, who most likely pitch Monday, and Strasburg, who's still working back from that injury. Then Matt Grace came in. He only went 1 inning, allowed 2 hits and 2 earned runs with 2 strikeouts. After Grace came in, Matt Albers, he really didn't have his best stuff today. He only went a third of an inning, allowing 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned with 2 walks. So, he's had a good year, mostly featuring great command and just throwing strikes, pounding the zone, trusting his defense. But the 2 walks today, he walked more guys than outs he got. So it really wasn't a great outing for him, but, it happens. And then Sammy Solis came in. He was recently sent down, but then with Enny Romero going to the DL, he was immediately called back up the same day. And he pitched great today. He went an inning and 2/3 and struck out 4 of the 5 batters that he faced. So he didn't allow a single hit. And after being one of their best relievers last year, he got hurt early on this year and struggled. So that was great to see him pitch well, pitch like he's capable. I want to see him do it a couple more times, but based on today, it appears maybe he's back. So that would be huge, especially if Enny Romero is forced to miss significant time, because while he is only on the 10-day disabled list, they're listing it as a forearm injury, and they said he is going to see a doctor, so that's not the final diagnosis. And forearm injuries in pitchers, you never like to speculate, but usually those aren't too good. So hopefully Enny Romero is all right. He's pitched pretty well for the Nationals this year after they gave up next to nothing to get him this offseason. So, yeah, Judo Joker said Albers has been struggling recently, and I think he might have been overused a little bit. He pitched for the team in spring training, but then got cut and brought back on minor league deal. Came up due to injuries and just struggles from other relievers, and pitched really well. So Dusty kind of fell in love with him, maybe threw him a little too much, and so hopefully he'll pitch better in his next couple appearances. And Matt Grace, who I said struggled a little bit today, he's pitched very well, I think, throughout this whole year, and he surpassed all expectations. But he has now allowed runs in 4 of his last 5 appearances, and kind of like Albers, I think maybe he's a little bit overused. This is his most innings pitched since 2014, and it's only August 5th, so he's still got a couple months to go. He appears to be a key member of this bullpen. He's been very versatile. He's been a long man, which most of his innings been racking up that way. He's come in as a left-handed specialist. He's come in just to get the heart of the order as he did today. He couldn't do it, but just that Dusty trusted him to come in against the heart of the order says a lot. But, yeah, so this is most innings pitched in 2014, and I don't really think he's a long man. I know he's been filling in as a long man, but I think maybe the thinking was he has started in the past, so he is capable of being a long man. But aside from one start in Syracuse this year, he hasn't started since 2012 when he was with Single A Potomac. So I'm not sure that he's stretched out enough to be a long man, but really he's their best option as a long man right now. So I would like to see them maybe go out and get a long man. It's past the non-waiver trade deadline, so it's a little more complicated, but it definitely can be done. We've seen the Nats make trades after the non-waiver trade deadline. We've seen Mark Zepchinski from last year, Matt Thornton they got Kurt Suzuki back in 2012. So Mike Rizzo has definitely gone out and made moves in August before. While they are more complicated, it's very possible. So maybe we see a trade for a guy like Scott Feldman once he comes back. He's capable of starting and relieving, so that'd be huge. Maybe once Scherzer, Gio, and Strasburg return, we see Edwin Jackson slot in to be a long man. Maybe in the postseason, you only need 4 relievers in the postseason, or 4 starters in the postseason. Maybe, Eric Fetty, he's starting tomorrow. Maybe once the big 3 in the rotation return, he can slot in as a long man. If he pitches better tomorrow, he struggled a little bit in his debut against Colorado, but, he probably was a little amped up for his major league debut, and Colorado is a tough lineup. And maybe we see Jacob Turner or A.J. Cole fill in and be a long man. We see Cole start against Miami the other day. He didn't pitch too well, so I personally don't have a whole lot of faith in him. But Jacob Turner pitched well earlier this year, and then he struggled a little bit, was eventually DFA'd. So he's currently pitching in Syracuse, so maybe he'll figure things out in Syracuse, come up, and he'll transfer into the big leagues. He could fill in as long man. But really, I think while I've been very impressed by the big 3 in the back end of the bullpen of Kinsler, Madison, and Doolittle, I think they really need a long man, because while Grace is a good reliever, he isn't a long man. I'd prefer to see him come in and just throw an inning, and maybe 2. You could push him to 2, but really no more than that, I don't think. I think maybe he's been a little bit overused. But, I guess that happens. We don't have a long man. We'll get into the Cubs line a little bit. John Jay today went 2 for 4 the leadoff spot before getting double switched out, as Madden loves to do. He loves to go and make moves. Use his lengthy bench, although for this series he's only got 3 guys on the bench, so he's probably a little bit handcuffed this series. Chris Bryant out of the 2-hole, he went 1 for 3 with a run scored in RBI. Anthony Rizzo went 1 for 4 with a run scored. Wilson Contreras, he had a big game. He went 2 for 4 with a run. He had a big home run. He had 3 RBIs today. Ben Zobrist went 1 for 4 with a run scored. And Javi Baez went 1 for 3. So there's really a lot of offense from the Cubs today. As they scored 7 runs today. They had a lot going for them. But their starting pitcher, John Lackey, although he got the win, it wasn't his best outing. Although he's a major league veteran, he's been pitching for a long time. He's getting a little older now, so he gave him 5 innings, allowed 3 runs. Only 2 of them were earned on 6 hits. So you really take that from a back end of the rotation guy. So I guess he gave him a quality start today, and obviously it was enough to get a win. And then after him came in Brian Dunsing. He went 1 inning, got 2 strikeouts. Pedro Strop came in. He went 1 inning, 1 walk, and struck out 2. Then Justin Wilson, their new acquisition, who the Nationals were seemingly interested in, he came in through 1 inning. He was a little erratic. He allowed 1 hit, 1 run, although it wasn't earned, with 1 walk. He got a big fielder's choice. It appeared to be a double play, but Javi Baez rushed a throw and didn't get a great throw over to first, allowing Anthony Rendon to reach. So yeah, Wilson got a big ground ball to get out of that inning, and then after him came in Wade Davis, who they acquired to be their closer this offseason, and he's still perfect in saves. He's now 23 for 23. But I said before the inning started, every time I've seen him, he has gotten the job done, but it's been a little shaky. It's been like some of those national saves we saw earlier this year, where they do get the job done, but everyone's biting their nails, and it's looking like the game could change within one swing. And it was exactly like that today. He came in through one inning, walked two guys, and got two strikeouts. So the whole inning, everyone was trying to figure out how to get Bryce Harper up to the plate. Eventually, the Nationals, it worked out that way, where Bryce Harper came up with two runners on and two outs. And so he's a tying run. He hits a home run. His game's tied. That's what everyone's thinking. Everyone wanted the situation, but he couldn't get it done. That happens. He did have a great game. He hit the home run in the first inning. So although it wasn't a great at bat, he struck out on a pitch in the dirt. It does happen. Davis is a quality reliever. He's their closer for the defending world champions. So I guess it happens, but you'd really like for him to come through in that situation. But he's been clutch. He's had a lot of walk-off hits. I'm sure he'll have another one before the season ends. But a little more from Harper. Also in that first inning, he had a huge inning. Wilson Contreras, for whatever reason, decided it'd be a good idea to try to run on him and go first to third on a base hit. And Harper, he threw an absolute missile to third, 97.8 miles per hour to throw him out. So, that was huge. And he had a great game altogether, but especially that first inning between the home run off the scoreboard and throwing Contreras out at third, because after he threw him out, Alex Avila ended up hitting a home run. So, that saved a run for Edwin Jackson and the Nats. So ended up making the game close. If that run scores, it's not a safe situation. So you don't see Davis today. And just seeing Davis today now, if it's a safe situation again tomorrow, the Nationals have seen him some. Andy's a little bit tired from pitching today. So maybe that helps you out a little bit tomorrow. You always got to be thinking about moving forward. So maybe we'll see that benefit the Nationals a little bit tomorrow. And then another thing I wanted to point out was Chad Whitson, the umpire behind the plate today. He, although he was somewhat consistent, he was really given on a left-handed batter. He was given two balls off the plate, and we saw several national strikeout. We saw Daniel Murphy strike out on that. We saw Adam Lynn strike out on that, and Alex Avila, the Cubs catcher, he was really just setting up there because he was getting the calls. And if you're going to be giving that, then the Nationals hitters need to adjust and start fighting those pitches off. We saw Daniel Murphy towards the end of the game. He learned from that strikeout looking earlier in the game. It was a full count. He reached out and fought it off, although it wasn't in the zone. You never really know with Chad Whitson behind the plate, as we saw today, if that is going to get called a strike. And if that's what he's calling, then that's a strike. Whatever the umpire says, that's what goes. So you have to fight it off. You can't go down looking and just complain about it. But at times, it was a little inconsistent because he would give two balls off the plate, and then the next batter, it'd be a ball right on the edge of the plate, and he wouldn't give it. So if that is his zone, it's got to be consistent. And Matt Wieters really gave him a piece of his mind. The Nationals struck out Jason Hayward to end the sixth inning, and Wieters coming off the field started barking at Whitson a little bit, and then eventually Wieters turned around and started talking to him and got ejected. So I enjoyed seeing a little bit of fire from Wieters. Since he played so well in April, he seemed a little lackadaisical. Since then, he hasn't hit too much. I haven't been too impressed defensively. I know he has helped out Gio Gonzalez a lot, and he's having a great comeback year. I haven't been too impressed with his pitch framing or his blocking or throwing guys out, the actual quantitative stats. But I guess he has been doing a lot kind of behind the scenes. But I like to see a little fire today, although it might have hurt the team. He's having a good day offensively. Jose Lobaton came in, got a big walk there in the ninth inning. Loby's a good defensive catcher, so they were able to handle it. Although if Lobaton would have gotten hurt, I don't know who would have been the emergency catcher. So with Wieters being ejected, if Loby got hurt, maybe you see like a guy like Wilmer Defoe go back and catch, because Bryce Harper does have catching experience. He caught in high school and in college a little bit, but most likely not going to put your star back there, because if he got hurt, you really never hear the end of it. Wieters, he argued. We haven't seen too much of that this year, but he really had a case today. because Whitson did not have a great zone and it just wasn't really consistent. We'll check the chat a little bit. Grace has given up runs, but they've been in lengthy appearances. Yeah, like I said, he's not really a long man, and he's been asked to be a long man. So he's been going like 2+ innings a lot recently. Today he only threw 1, but we've seen a few of his previous outings have been really lengthy. So he's coming in and probably getting a little fatigued towards the end and giving up some runs. And Seth said, "Hey, just got home from work, and good to have you in the chat, Seth. Sorry you missed the game, although with the loss today, maybe if you're going to miss a game, that's the one you'd want to miss." So we'll get into the scoreboard with all the other major league teams a little bit. The Mets are currently losing to the Dodgers 7-3 or 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th. The Mets got off to a 3-0 lead in the first inning, but the Dodgers have now scored 4 runs in the last 2, 3 in the 6th and 1 in the 7th. So the Mets are now going to have to go up against that back end of the Dodgers bullpen, which they really bolstered at the deadline, getting Cingrani, Watson, and they're going along with Kenley Jansen, who's already one of the best closers, if not the best closer in the league. So the Mets are coming back. Although it is a 1-run deficit, that's really going to be a tough deficit with that back end of the bullpen. The Baltimore Orioles, the other DMV area team, they're playing against Detroit at 7 o'clock tonight. Wade Miley is going to be on the mound for them. The Miami Marlins are playing against the Atlanta Braves tonight at 7:10. Dan Strelly is pitching for Miami, and Mike Fulton-Evans is pitching for Atlanta. And the Philadelphia Phillies are playing in Colorado tonight at 8:10. Nick Pivetta is going to be pitching for the Phillies, and John Gray is going to be pitching for the Rockies. And we recently saw John Gray on Sunday in the second game of that doubleheader, and that's hit him a little bit. Got their only win in the series that game, so maybe the Phillies will hit him a little bit tonight out in Coors Field with Nick Pivetta, the former Nationals farmhand, pitching for them. Getting to the minor leagues a little bit with the Nationals playing an afternoon game today. There's only one game in progress that just got underway. The AA Harrisburg Senators are currently tied 0-0 with Binghamton in the bottom of the second. Drew Ward is currently batting for Harrisburg. He's having a good year. The Class A Advanced Potomac Nationals are playing Winston-Salem. They should be playing shortly. It says they're warming up right now. The Syracuse Chiefs, AAA, they're playing Rochester at 7 o'clock. The Class A Hagerstown Suns are playing Lakewood at 7:05. And the Class A short season Auburn Doubledays are playing against Williamsport at 7:05. And starting for Auburn today is Will Crow. He was the Nationals' second-round pick this previous year. He's a starting pitcher out of South Carolina. So it would be interesting to see how he does. Maybe we see him in the next couple of years come up and be a big part of this rotation. I know the Nats obviously thought really highly of him after picking him in the second round. And this is his second game for Auburn. In his first game, he went 3 innings, only allowed 2 hits and no runs with 2 strikeouts. So maybe we'll see a little bit of improvement now that he's gotten his feet wet in single A a little bit. And yeah, that's definitely a game to keep an eye on. Back in the chat, Seth Ross said Cody Bellinger hit home run number 31. And yeah, him, Giancarlo Stanton, and Aaron Judge have really been a lot of fun to watch. They're all right up there in the 30s in home runs and leading the MLB. So I saw Giancarlo Stanton hit 2 homers last night, and Aaron Judge has been slumping a little bit lately. So it will be interesting to see who ends up leading the league at the end of the year in home runs. We'll go into what went up on the site today. Ron Juckett had a piece about how the Nationals are pushing for now, but and they made a few trades, but they also didn't mortgage their future. So you still have your top prospects of like Victor Robles, Juan Soto, Carter Kieboom. You got all your top prospects. You held on to Eric Fetty, who we've seen a little bit. We'll be seeing him tomorrow. So while they are making a big push for now and they are in win now mode, they still do have all their top prospects and should be in a good position to win moving forward. And Ricky Keeler had a piece about Daniel Johnson, who's having a great year in Potomac. And so you definitely have to go check those 2 pieces out. Not sure what's going up on the site tomorrow. I'm going to have my player of the week. So you have to go check that out, see who I pick. And then tomorrow, the series finale against the Cubs, it'll be Eric Fetty making his second career start. It's his first career start on the road. That'll be a tough matchup against the Cubs. And pitching for the Cubs will be John Lester. So He's a great starting pitcher. He's been an all-star before. He's having a good year this year. So that'll be a tough matchup. But really coming into this series, he knew it was going to be a tough series with Scherzer hurt, Strasburg hurt, and Gio Gonzalez, who left today. His fiance is having a baby. So he's back home in D.C. So, with Roark, who's one of your regular starting pitchers, but then Edwin Jackson and Eric Fetty pitching the second 2 games of the series, could be a rough series. I thought that was big to win the game last night, so you at least guarantee you don't get swept. So yeah, tomorrow we'll have to see how that game goes. Maybe Eric Fetty pitches a little better. His first career start last Sunday against Colorado. Colorado's a great lineup, and he was probably a little amped up for his first career start, but I didn't think he pitched too poorly. He had a little bit of bad luck. He had an interference call at third base. He had Carlos Gonzalez bunting against the shift. You never like to see that. I'm not a big fan of shifts for that exact reason. And he did strike out the side in his second inning last Sunday. So maybe he pitches better tomorrow, although Wrigley Field, as we saw today, sometimes it is a little conducive to hitting. And the Cubs obviously have a tough lineup like Colorado. So we'll have to see how he pitches. And maybe if he pitches well, he sticks around as maybe a long man, although they probably don't want to convert him back into a reliever after he started the year as a starter, then converted to a reliever, and then converted back into a starter for now. So you probably don't want to mess with him too much, at least in 1 year. I think maybe if they convert anyone to a reliever, it'd be a guy like Edwin Jackson, who does have relief experience. He began this year as a reliever with Baltimore Orioles. Maybe you see Jacob Turner, like I said earlier, he was relieving a little bit. He was relieving for the Nationals earlier this year. So, tomorrow will definitely be a good game to watch. It's another 2:20 start. I'll be with you on Twitter. But Ricky Keeler will be on the DoDCast with someone from Cubby's Crib. I believe it's Jacob Meisner, if I'm not mistaken. So that will definitely be a big one to watch. It's always a lot of fun to have guests on the show and kind of get both sides' point of view. And we'd really appreciate it if you give this video a like and subscribe to us on YouTube. If you'd like us on Facebook, and if you'd follow us on Twitter, you could follow us at District on Deck, or you could follow me at DrewRD98. So thank you for watching this DoDCast after the Nationals 7-4 loss. It did put up a good fight at the end, so made it a little bit interesting, but just couldn't quite get it. It was a little too late. So thank you for watching, and Ricky will be with you tomorrow after Eric Fetty's second career start. So from everyone at District on Deck, I'm Drew Douglas, and have a good day, everyone.